All right, so we're diving into the habits of those wildly successful people, the ones who just seem to crush it, goal after goal. And you all send in some really cool articles and research. I'm excited to unpack it all.
It's funny because when you look at these sources, success doesn't seem like this magical thing. It's a lot about very specific habits, things they do over and over.
So not just like born with it, gotta be lucky kind of stuff. It's more systems they've built for themselves.
Exactly. And while we get into tons of details, the main thing that keeps coming up is like small actions, but done consistently. That's what gets those big results.
Okay, love that. Lots of the articles focused on morning routines. Some were even kind of crazy early wake-up times. Is that really that big of a deal?
Yeah, it's definitely a pattern you see a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not just about like being up before dawn. It's more that time when you're uninterrupted. Like Tim Cook, he starts his day at 4:30 a.m.,
Hmm.
gets a clear head before the whole Apple world explodes on him.
4.30. Okay, I get the quiet time idea, but some people exercise first thing just wipes them out. Do these folks just like push through that feeling?
A lot of successful people, DO, make morning exercise a priority, yeah. But it's not always about pushing through. It's understanding even a little bit of movement can kind of set you up for the whole day.
So it's more than just like feeling peppy. There's some brain stuff going on too.
Totally. So exercise, right? It releases endorphins. Those make you feel good. But it also helps with neurogenesis, which it's like making brand new brain cells. That means better problem solving, even more creative thinking.
Whoa, that's wild. So they're not just physically ready, but their brains are primed for action too. I also saw mindfulness popping up in a bunch of these articles, as common as hitting the gym early.
Man, mindfulness is huge, yeah. Look at Oprah. She said a lot about how her daily meditation, that's what builds her resilience, to handle the pressure that comes with the level of success she has.
Makes sense, but is it just any meditation or are there like specific techniques these folks use?
So Oprah, she uses transcendental meditation, which is known for like really reducing stress. Helps her stay calm in what I'm sure is a super hectic life.
Yeah.
It's finding that stillness, which I think helps a lot when you're dealing with all the stuff that comes with success.
Okay, so we've got the early rise, the exercise boost, then getting mindful. What's next in the success morning routine?
Being intentional, that's super important. These folks, they're masters of planning, knowing what to prioritize. They don't just kind of wander through their day, they're shaping it strategically.
So like crazy detailed to-do lists, color-coded planners, that kind of thing.
Those tools can definitely help, but it's bigger than that. It's about really understanding that 80-20 principle.
Hmm.
Means 80% of your results, they come from only 20% of what you do.
Oh, interesting. So finding those high-impact tasks, focusing on those, that's the key. Got an example of how that plays out in real life.
Sure. So say you've got 10 things on your to-do list. You use that 80-20 thinking. You pick out the 2-0 that'll really move the needle on your goals. Those become your top priority.
Makes a lot of sense. Is that where time blocking comes in? I've heard that can be super helpful for focus.
Oh yeah, time blocking is a popular one. It's like you give specific chunks of time to specific activities, treating everything like an important meeting. Elon Musk takes this to the extreme. They say he breaks his day into 5-minute slots.
Whoa, that's intense. Most of us probably don't need to go that hard, but I get how being that intentional with your time could be really powerful.
It's about knowing why you're spending each hour the way you are. And successful people, they regularly look back at their goals, short-term, A&D, long-term, making sure what they're doing each day is getting them where they want to be.
Like having a compass for your day's decisions. So we've got the morning down, up early, move your body, get mindful, plan strategically. What other habits are in the success playbook?
This one might surprise you. It's being dedicated to learning throughout your life and always staying curious.
You mean it's not just about working hard, it's about always learning new stuff, expanding what you know.
Absolutely. And a huge part of that is reading. They make time to really absorb information. We're talking Warren Buffett levels. He spends like 6 hours a day reading.
No way. What do they get out of being that dedicated to reading?
It's about staying informed, getting new viewpoints, always feeding their minds, basically. But it goes beyond books, too. Successful people, they're always trying to improve through courses, finding mentors, whatever it takes.
It's like this unquenchable thirst for knowledge. They're not just letting info wash over them, they're actively hunting it down.
And a big part of that, it's asking questions.
Mhm.
They don't just take things at face value. They want to dig deeper, challenge what they think they know, and that's how you get innovation. That's how you solve problems.
So always pushing yourself to learn and grow. This feels like a theme so far, being proactive, not just reacting to what comes at you.
You're totally picking up on the patterns here, yeah. And this leads into another big thing, building really strong relationships. It's not all solo missions. Connection and working together are huge.
Makes sense. People are social creatures after all. So how do these super successful folks prioritize relationships when they're so busy?
Networking, that's crucial. They build and maintain connections with, like mentors, people in their field, even competitors sometimes. They see the value in sharing ideas, learning from each other, opening doors.
Richard Branson, the Virgin Group guy, he's all about collaboration, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. He always talks about surrounding yourself with talent, tapping into what they're good at. It's realizing success is rarely a one-person show.
I'm guessing gratitude plays a part in these relationships too, not just what you can get from others, but valuing and appreciating them.
For sure. Successful people, they make it a habit to express gratitude, whether it's a thank you note, acknowledging someone's hard work, or just saying, I appreciate you.
Because strong relationships, they're built on mutual respect, appreciation, not just like transactional back and forth.
Exactly. And it's not just work connections either. They prioritize time with family, friends. That work-life balance is crucial. It impacts everything else.
Sounds like they've figured out how to integrate those two worlds, not see them as fighting each other.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about sacrificing one for the other. It's making them both work. This actually brings us to another fascinating thing, how they approach their work itself through focused work and deep work.
Oh, okay. Let's get into that. Always looking for ways to be more productive. Tell me everything.
Well, one big thing is the bad effects of multitasking. You might think juggling a bunch of stuff makes you efficient, but research shows it can make you 40% less productive.
Wow, that's a huge drop. Why does that happen?
Our brains, they just weren't built to do a bunch of complex stuff at once really well. We end up switching back and forth, losing focus, and we get less done overall.
So one thing at a time, giving it your full attention, that's the key. But how do you actually do that in our always connected world?
That's where deep work comes in. It's like fully immersing yourself in the task, no distractions, reaching this flow state where you're totally absorbed in what you're doing.
That sounds almost meditative.
It can be.
Mm.
And there's practical stuff you can do to make deep work easier, like turning off notifications, setting boundaries with your time, and having a dedicated workspace.
So being intentional with your environment as well as your time. What about breaks? Those important too.
Breaks are essential, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just go nonstop and expect to be at your best. Even something simple like the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes working, then 5 minutes off, that can make a big difference.
Good reminder to build those pauses into the day. So far, we've got morning routines, lifelong learning, relationships, and focused work. What about when work's done? Are there evening routines too?
There are, yeah. And you'll see this theme of reflecting, recharging, and prepping for the next day.
Okay, break that down for me. What does reflection look like in the evening?
It's taking time to think about your day. What went well? What could have gone better? What did you learn? Not just checking things off, but really analyzing.
Makes sense. It's actively looking to improve, not just going through the motion.
Exactly. And that ties into planning for tomorrow. A lot of successful people, they'll take time in the evening to list out priorities, schedule stuff, so they're ready to hit the ground running.
So you wake up knowing what needs to happen, less stress, less decision fatigue in the morning.
Exactly. And lastly, they make time to unwind, recharge.
Because even the most driven people need to rest, refill their energy, right?
For sure. Whether it's reading, family time, practicing gratitude, or just something relaxing, they disconnect from work, prioritize their well-being.
Sounds like these evening routines are all about setting yourself up for success the next tea.
Exactly. Ending the day mindfully and prepping for a fresh start.
Okay, one more thing on evening routines before we move on. A lot of the sources were big on sleep. Is it really that crucial?
Oh, it's huge. Highly successful people, they get that enough sleep isn't a luxury, it's essential. Look at a guy like Jeff Bezos, right? Super intense work ethic, but he's all about getting those 7, 8 hours a night.
So they see it as an investment, it helps them think better, perform better overall.
Exactly. You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've covered a lot. Morning routines, learning, relationships, focused work, evening routines. But there's a key ingredient we haven't explicitly talked about yet. Discipline.
Yeah, it feels like discipline is the foundation that makes all these other habits stick.
You're right on the money with that. Without consistent discipline, these strategies, they're just ideas. It's the glue that holds everything together.
Because Knowing what to do is one thing, but actually doing it day after day, even when you don't feel like it, that's another story.
Exactly. Success isn't just random bursts of effort. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's tough.
Making those habits automatic, almost like second nature.
Precisely. That's where the magic happens. Small things repeated consistently over time. That's how you get those remarkable results.
Like the saying goes, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out.
Love that. And it reminds us that we all have the power to build these habits. So much of this is mindset, building those good patterns into our lives.
Before we go further, let's quickly recap for our listeners what we've covered so far. We started with those powerful morning routines, getting up early, exercise, mindfulness, and strategic planning.
We also talked about how important it is to never stop learning and to nurture your relationships, both professionally and personally.
And then we got into maximizing productivity through focused work and setting up effective evening routines.
But underneath it all is that crucial element of discipline, the consistent effort that takes knowledge and turns it into action and then into achievement.
Beautifully put. Ready for some bonus facts that weren't in the articles, but add another layer to these success habits?
Hit me with them.
Okay, have you heard of the 5-hour rule?
I have a feeling this involves some serious dedication to self-improvement, am I right?
You're on the right track. It's all about spending at least 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, on deliberate learning or skill building. And get this, people like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, they swear by it. Wow, that's commitment. But I can see how making that time for growth could be a game changer.
It's like a non-negotiable appointment with yourself for personal and professional development.
Okay, what else you got?
Here's a cool one. Practicing gratitude. It can actually boost your productivity and your well-being.
Really? How does that work?
Studies show that gratitude is good for mental health, increases motivation, and makes your relationship stronger.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's creating these positive ripple effects throughout your life.
Exactly. Gratitude, it's like this positive feedback loop. The more you appreciate what you have, the more motivated and productive you become.
Fascinating. All right, last but not least, gotta mention sleep again.
Of course. We touched on it with evening routines, but it's worth repeating. Jeff Bezos, another super successful leader, he's a big advocate for 7-8 hours too.
That's pretty inspiring considering how much he's accomplished.
It shows that rest isn't weakness. It's an investment in your ability to think clearly, to perform at your best.
Okay, I think this is a great place to pause for part one. So far, we've covered morning routines, why it's so important to always be learning, building those strong relationships, mastering focused work, creating effective evening routines, and that underlying principle of discipline. We even learned about the 5-hour rule, the power of gratitude, and why sleep is so vital.
Yeah, it's been a great journey through these fascinating habits for success. In part two, we'll explore how all these pieces connect to create this holistic approach to life. You know, talking about all these habits, it's really struck me how they're all connected.
Yeah, it's not just like a random list of tips and tricks.
Right. It's more like this whole system for success.
They all kind of build on each other, creating this upward spiral almost.
Exactly. Think about it. When you get enough sleep and you've got that solid evening routine, you wake up feeling good, you've got energy.
Which makes it way more likely you'll actually get up for that 6 a.m. workout.
Exactly. Then that exercise boost, it fuels you for a focused workday, which you've already planned out strategically thanks to your mindful morning routine.
And because you're always learning, growing, you bring fresh ideas, a problem-solving mindset to your work.
And all of that supported by your strong relationships. You've got people to collaborate with to keep you accountable.
IS is like a system, each part contributes to the overall success.
Great way to put it. It's not just individual habits, it's how they work together to create this awesome synergy.
It also shows how these habits aren't just about those external signs of success, like promotions or awards.
You're right. It's deeper than that. It's about growing as a person, feeling fulfilled too.
So becoming the best version of yourself in both your personal and professional life.
Exactly. And it reminds you, success, it's not one size fits all.
It's figuring out what really matters to you, then making sure your habits match your values, the things you want to achieve.
Well said. It's about making your life feel meaningful, true to who you are, not just chasing some definition of success that someone else came up with.
That being said, even with all these insights, all this knowledge, there's no magic formula.
Because at the end of the day, it comes down to taking action, trying things out, finding what works for you.
That's so important. We're all different strengths, weaknesses, goals.
Totally. What works for one person might not work for another.
So these insights, they're like a framework, a place to start your own exploration.
Exactly. Be willing to adapt, make adjustments as you learn and grow.
It's all about embracing that journey of self-discovery and
Right.
always trying to improve. Talking about all this, it hit me. We've been focusing on highly successful individuals. What if someone doesn't really see themselves that way?
That's a great point. These habits, these principles, they're not just for like CEOs and entrepreneurs.
Right. What if you're just starting out, or maybe you're feeling stuck, or you're just not interested in that whole grand idea of success the way we usually think of it?
It's important to remember these habits can help anyone who wants to live more intentionally, be more productive, have a more fulfilling life.
So students, stay-at-home parents, artists, anyone who wants to make positive changes, they can benefit from this too.
Absolutely. Even something like morning routines, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be waking up at 4:30. It's about having a morning ritual that sets you up for success in your own way.
Maybe it's a quiet cup of coffee while you journal, or taking a few minutes to stretch, meditate, or just some quality time with your loved ones before things get crazy.
The point is, you start your day with intention, not just reacting to whatever the world throws at you.
And that same idea, it goes for all the other habits we talked about. It's about personalizing them, making them fit into your life in a way that feels genuine and that you can actually sustain.
Exactly. It's not about becoming some other person. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's shift the focus a bit. From habits of highly successful individuals to habits that empower you to live a more fulfilling life.
Love that. Because in the end, that's what it's all about, right? Creating a life you love that reflects what you value, that lets you thrive in all the areas that matter to you.
And remember, this is a journey, not a race. Some days you'll totally crush it. Other days you might stumble a bit.
The key is to keep learning, keep growing, keep moving forward.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different habits, see what clicks for you, adjust as you go. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's about finding what works best for you, for your specific situation.
You might even surprise yourself with what you can achieve.
I think that's a perfect spot to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive. We explored how all these habits connect and how you can make them work for your life. That idea, creating a life you genuinely love, one that reflects what's important to you, that really takes the pressure off. Like, you don't have to fit into someone else's mold of what success should look like.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And that journey of self-discovery, it's super rewarding on its own, even without those external markers.
Totally agree. Like, when you finally master a new skill or you hit a goal that was tough, that feeling is just incredible.
Right. And it's not just about those big moments. It's the small steps forward, that consistent effort that compounds over time.
Those are the things that really shift your mindset, your whole energy in the long run, I think.
Absolutely. And what's cool about this journey, it never really ends. There's always something new to learn, a new challenge, a new version of yourself waiting to be discovered.
It's like we're all works in progress, always growing and changing.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. You're not working towards some finish line. It's about embracing the adventure, the lifelong growth, and learning.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. We started with those habits of highly successful people, but what's really stuck with me is how those habits can apply to just creating a more fulfilling life, period.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to think about. It wasn't in any of the articles, but it ties into everything we talked about. Self-compassion.
Oh, that's so crucial, especially when you're all about achievement, personal growth. It's easy to be hard on yourself when things aren't perfect.
It is.
Mhm.
But the truth is, we're all human. We all mess up, have doubts, run into roadblocks. That's just part of it.
No doubt about it.
And those moments, those are when self-compassion matters most. It's giving yourself the same kindness, the same understanding that you would a good friend.
Instead of beating yourself up over a setback, you acknowledge it, you learn from it, and you keep going with a little more grace.
Exactly. Because in the end, it's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and the downs.
And remembering that each step, each experience, it's all an opportunity to learn and grow.
Beautifully said. So as you take all this out into the world, remember, you're capable of amazing things. Believe in yourself, enjoy the journey, and never stop growing.
And keep an eye out for our next deep dive, where we'll explore a whole new fascinating topic. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep being awesome.